In this video 2-7, we will be looking at powers and exponents, so you should be able to say I can write, simplify, and evaluate expressions with exponents. For some vocabulary, first, an exponent tells you how many times a base is used as a factor. The base is the number that you multiply, that's the factor. The power is an expression where you have a base and an exponent. So 2 to the 5th power, or 2 to the power of 5 here, is an example of a power. The factor is 2, which is the base. The 2 here, to simplify, we would multiply it by itself 5 times, since the exponent is a 5. So we're multiplying the base 2 by itself 5 times because of the exponent. And when we do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, we get 32. When we simplify that power of 2 to the 5th. If we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 7 times 7, and we are writing it using powers, we would write 2 to the 3rd power times 7 to the 2nd power. If we had negative 2 to the 6th power, and I said to simplify that power, we would do the base. We would take the base, which is negative 2, and we would multiply it by itself 6 times. And so when we go through and simplify, and you just look at the 2's here, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, we end up with 64. And we end up with a positive 64. If you look back from the beginning, a negative times a negative is a positive times a negative is a negative times a negative is a positive again, a positive times a negative is a negative, and then a negative times a negative gives you a positive. One thing I want you to point out here is our base is negative 2 because it's in parentheses. And so that means the base is negative 2. And because that exponent is even, whenever you have a base that's negative and the power is an even number, your answer when you simplify would be positive. Now here in this problem, you can see that the negative symbol, the negative sign, is on the outside of the parentheses. So in this problem, the base is 2. And when we simplify that, we know we get 64. Now when we come back over here, this is asking us what's the opposite of 2 to the 6th power. 2 to the 6th power is 64, so the opposite is negative 64. So let's look at the difference here between 2 and 3. The base in number 2 was negative 2, which when we simplify we get a positive 64. And number 3, the base was 2. And we simplify 2 to the 6th power, we get 64. And because of that negative sign, we want to know what's the opposite of 64, which is negative 64. Here we have an expression where we need to follow our order of operations to simplify it. First, we do everything inside of the parentheses, so we do 3 times 2. So we have 38 minus 6 squared. After parentheses, we do the exponent. So we have 6 to the 2nd power. So we'd have 38 minus 6 to the 2nd power is 6 times 6, which is 36. And then we have 38 minus 36. It simplifies to 2. Oh, and I went into this next problem here. I'm going to rewrite it so we can see it better. It's 3 to the 3rd power plus 1 to the 2nd power divided by 2 times 1. In a problem like this, what you want to do is everything in the numerator, which is above this line right here in the middle, and then you're going to do everything in the denominator, then we'll do the division. Now in the numerator, we're going to start with doing the exponents first. So 3 times 3 times 3, which gives us let's see here. Do I have it right? Yep. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27. So we have 27 plus 1 squared, which is 1. We're dividing that by 2 times 1, which is 2. Then we're going to add 27 plus 1. That gives us 28. 28 divided by 2 Now we take the numerator and denominator, do the division, and we get a total 14 for 28 divided by 2. Can you say, I can write, simplify, and evaluate expressions with exponents? Here is the output. Please work out these problems and be prepared with any questions for the work time in class.